Cuse fans, get ready for the game. Here's Cuse on the flagship station of SU football, TK99 and TK105.
Yes, indeed. Live here at the TK Tavern on the Hill. Pregame festivities here. Tailgate broadcast. SU getting ready to take on number 6 Miami in the JMA Wireless Dome. And I'm joined by Adam Terry up on the hill, up on the quad, getting ready for the broadcast. Adam, I know it was a very busy start to the day for you. And outside there, a little brisk, but it's November football. It's post-Thanksgiving football in Syracuse. And that in itself is exciting to hear right there.
Oh yeah, no, it's pretty awesome. I mean, and for me too, it's been busy, but it's my son is an official recruit, so that's pretty interesting coming off a sophomore season. But excited about that. And I think the buzz is starting to mount, right? Like I think probably an hour, maybe hour and a half before the game, people are starting to get out of here right now. We were down at Shine a little bit earlier. A bunch of recruits in here, so it's starting to fill in. But weather's holding off pretty well, so I think that's going to be an added bonus.
So just that I heard that correctly, your son is an official recruit of Coach Fran in the SU football program.
Yeah. No, it's
well, that's pretty cool. So did you get special parking today?
No, my parking with what I do on the air is a little bit better than probably parking at Skytop or wherever they bring them in from.
How about just quickly Thanksgiving highlights here for you? Good day, good family, everybody in town, everybody doing well?
Yeah, no, it was a small one. Brother-in-law just had a baby, and so we. My wife ended up cooking basically a Thanksgiving feast and shipping it, and we traveled across with it, and my brother-in-law did kind of a ham. We did the turkey, so we kind of offset each other throughout that. But overall, it was a good experience, and nobody came down with any illnesses, and that's always nobody threw up from eating too much food, and no buttons were burst on any jeans, so we're pretty good.
No puke is a good day. That should be on a T-shirt right there. Well, final thoughts. Last week, obviously, with that win against UConn, and offensively, especially at the start of the game, the team just came firing out on all cylinders. And when you looked at Kyle's stats at the half, most guys would have been thrilled if that were for the entire game. And I forgot exactly what it was, but it was like 20 for 24 and 300 and whatever it was at the half from last week as the Cuse took care of business.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, and this is one leading into this game, following up that UConn performance. I thought pass protection went well. They were able to run the football modestly, but Kyle McCord was putting on a show offensively. And the best thing about it is it was just whoever was open, and we saw that early on with Gill, and just a huge game for that young man, and really hadn't cracked the roster yet. So Kyle McCord is he's an absolute magician. Troy Nunes might have to give that one up, but to be able to throw the ball around the field and find open receivers and being selfless, like there's not a wide receiver that's I've seen in the past come to the sideline, slam their helmet, ask for the ball. I think it's now, if you're open, you're going to get the ball and the ability to run after the catch.
We talked to Kyle this week. He was in the studio, and I asked him about his, it seems like every week after the game, it's described as a career day. But then the next week, Kyle does something even better, and asked him about the career day last week against UConn. He was very generous when handing out his compliments.
A lot of preparation, and then I think the offense played really well. Obviously, the O-line keeping me upright, and then the running backs, LeQuint, Yassin, and Jaden Hart doing a good job of pass protection, running the ball, keeping the defense honest, and then the receivers and tight ends going and making contested catches, making plays down the field, running with the ball after the catch. So I think that's just a team effort, and obviously, I get the stats and the praise for it, but I feel like we did a really good job. Play calling was great too as well.
A little bit of compliment for everybody on the team from Kyle. I mean, it's the kind of kid he is, pretty humble, but and he was right though when he was describing the offensive line, keeping them upright and giving them the time to do some things.
Yeah, and that's going to be par for the course today. If they can keep them upright, that's going to be a game. If they can't, it's going to be a long day because you can understand what Cam Moore can do. So, all that heaping of praise, Dale Williams kind of has to throw that aside, the offensive line coach, and really get these guys dialed in. And it might be a situation where you're going to have to chip on the outside and help and be able to just allow Kyle to step into the ball and throw it because if they do, we've seen the magic. And when there's pressure, we've also seen that other conundrum. So that Pittsburgh man coverage with the pressure coming on him, we saw the atrocity of that and the scariness and the realness of, when you throw a football to a guy behind him and somebody undercuts it, that's a touchdown. So I think the biggest thing is offensively keep him on his feet and allow Kyle to work his magic.
And it is here, the final regular season game, obviously heading into the 3:30 kickoff against Miami. And earlier in the week, we talked to former quarterback Eric Dungy, as we have a chance to chat with him a couple times a week during the season. And we asked Eric his thoughts on Kyle's impressive season as well.
Yeah, it's truly impressive what he's been able to do in his first year here, and the numbers that he's put up consistently day in and day out, and just the leadership that he has from his teammates and all the respect that he has. And it's not just one guy or two guys that are getting the ball. It's every week it's a new receiver. So it's exciting, and you just got to tip your cap to the kid. He's just an impressive quarterback, impressive baller, and this is not the end here. And he's definitely going to make a splash there the next level as well.
As you pointed out, Adam, every week who's ever open is going to get a pass thrown at him.
Yeah, and I think that's high praise coming from Eric, and what we've seen out of Eric in the past, and as well as a guy like Garrett Trader, guys that have really been successful at Syracuse. The biggest thing for Kyle right now is he's pretty humble in what he's been doing, but also this is the first time that we've seen kind of a pure pocket passer in a long time. Last time we saw that was with Nassib, and we saw what he was able to do with the football. And with Dungy and Schrader, they've extended plays with their feet and probably more so extending plays down the field. So I think it was best said last week by Jim Mora Jr., right, in a situation where Kyle McCord extends plays, but he extends plays within the pocket. And that's kind of scary is, most times a quarterback's going to put that ball down and find a crease and get down the field. What Kyle McCord's doing is he's shuffling up in the pocket. He's moving laterally in order to unleash something down the field. And that's been the most impressive thing for me is the ability to stay in the pocket when chaos has occurred. So it's been a wild ride this year with McCord, but, let's stay on that roller coaster for the rest of the journey.
That is the voice of Adam Terry up on the quad, getting ready for the 3:30 kickoff. I'm here at the TK Tavern on the Hill on the Split Rock Road in Camillus. If you want to come out and say hi, we're also on the QSportsTalk.com. If you want to log in and say hi in the stream chat, ask a question if you'd like. But we're just getting started here. An exciting day as the number 6 Miami Hurricanes come into the Dome. We'll take a break here, and we'll be right back on the flagship station for SU football, TK99 and TK105.
TK99 and TK105, Syracuse's classic rock.
The Hire Company, now open in downtown Syracuse. High quality products in a welcoming and safe environment. CBD.
Yeah, so we'll come out with the rejoin, and I didn't look at the log, but we won't play a song on the other side, so we'll chat up to the next break. Thank you. How was your Thanksgiving, Paul? Same, pretty low key. All good. That's a great Thanksgiving day right there. That's right, Kev. Paul is in the house.
These are huge. You slide out there. Is the wind whipping on you, or are you good?
Okay, thank you.
It's coming from that way, so I'll get a little bit from around the front of that building. But I was pushing a cart up the hill, and it was blasting me. I'm glad those buildings are up there. Because these wraps obviously don't help me, but they don't help you either. So
A little bit. That's the best gift JT got me was this coat 2 years ago.
I'd rather it be a little cold than frickin' pouring.
Oh, yeah, hands down. Yeah, because I think people will come. I mean, they're starting to fill in.
How about you, Gomez? Is it warm there?
Yes, it's very nice. Very toasty inside here today.
How long is it going to take you to get from there to here? 20?
Normally it's from the radio station. I mean, I left the station after our broadcast, like at right at 10, and
I usually bump into
in the
you
dome by 10:45. I don't know about today, but. Thank you. On Rivalry Weekend in college football, live from the TK Tavern on the Hill, and also live from the quad up at SU. Adam Terry manning the fort, I call it, up there. And it looks like, as some people have noticed here on the stream chat on QSportsTalk.com, Adam, you're bundled up there and ready to go. And what's the atmosphere right now up on campus?
Yeah, I was just saying I appreciate this jacket that my boss, Jason Thomas, bought me a couple years ago. It's starting to fill in. And, the great thing about the quad is the buildings, it's either going to be a wind tunnel in certain spots that you're going to stand, or it's going to be nice and buffered from the wind. So I think that quad walk is going to get hit with some wind coming through. I forgot the name of the buildings here, but, right across from Hendricks Chapel, right as you're going to take that diagonal into the dome, you can see the Haudenosaunee flag, floating around, and the SU flag floating around. So it's whipping through here. But, like I said, there's tents in the quad that's buffering people. And this quad walk should be interesting. I mean, what better place would you rather be right now than in front of Hendricks Chapel, getting guys juiced up to go in there and play against a highly ranked team and meaningful game in the end of November.
Which hasn't happened in quite a long time here. Has been a lot of people have made note of, obviously. And to have a game of this magnitude, and again, and it is rivalry weekend, and we're watching here at the TK Tavern. In fact, there's a bunch of TVs with various games on, but it's 17-7 Vanderbilt up over Tennessee, and that's the fun of rivalry weekend. Is you get these teams, these hated teams, playing each other with long-time matchups, and there are some I think I've seen a couple of Ohio State people here getting ready to take in that game a little bit later on, and Clemson is right now playing against South Carolina. That is 0-0, no score at the end of the first quarter. So that's the fun of a rivalry weekend and the fun of this weekend in college football.
Yeah, and, this is not necessarily a true rivalry. I think that's more like the Pitt and the Boston College, but it is one where, you've played a team over 60 years, and it's a Big East back in the day, two Big East powerhouses. So the opportunity right now is one of Miami's trying to carve themselves into the playoff picture. If it they lose this one, Syracuse really catapults himself into the national spotlight, and hopefully a nice, warm, potentially New Year's Day bowl game. And so there's a lot on the line for Syracuse right now, but there's also a boatload on the line for Miami, and what this outcome is really shapes the landscape of the ACC and the potential of the playoffs.
We had Coach Fran on the phone yesterday, and I think it's part of the change in culture for the program and for the team and for the fans' expectations, for that matter. But I asked Fran and mentioned the great opportunity to play against number 6 Miami today in the Dome, and he had kind of a little bit of a different spin on that.
We're excited and happy to go play football. Yeah, we cool with that. We're not really worrying about where they pick us at. We're just worrying about playing the game, and we want to play our best version of football. And they get to come to the Dome. Like, I'm excited about the Dome. Going to be packed, so this is going to be a good deal. It's going to be a big game, and Syracuse is coming to play football. I just want to make sure you guys understand that we're coming to play football. Also, a lot of people consistently talking about we get a chance to play against the number 6 team in the country, and we're really happy about that. But just as well as we get a chance to play against them, they have a chance to play against us also.
I think it's a great way to look at it, as in Coach Fran's mind, it's like, wait a minute, they're the ones coming here. They have an opportunity to beat us, not the other way around. But I like that thought process, Adam.
Yeah, I like the coach speaking the spin, but it is, I most of the locker rooms that I've ever been in, it is whether you're going into a playoffs or something along the lines like that, or I've been in some where you got the snot kicked out of you during the season, and now you get the opportunity to play spoiler. I don't think that's the case. I don't think you're in here saying, hey, we're the spoiler, but I think it is a great opportunity to showcase what you have in the future of this program against a team that is playing for the potential of going and winning a national championship. So yeah, I love Franisms as we get to see over a course of time, but deep down right now he's got a little bit of fire to him, and you'll see that on the sideline today, because it's an opportunity for this Syracuse team to play its best and make a statement. And I think if you walk away from a game like that and you haven't done what you're supposed to do, then that's the travesty. But if you can go out there and make a statement of this is who we are and this is what we're going to be about, that's what I love about it.
And when you were playing in your time at Syracuse, Adam, you would have been on the team in did you play? You played against Miami, right? It was like 02 or 03?
We played them 01, I believe. It was the one where ESPN turned the game off up here. I think they switched to a different one. So we were highly ranked, but we were going down there, and it was not a fantastic showing. So then I've gone down there, and we lost by 7, and we had an opportunity late in the game to run a pogo, which was a post and go to Johnny Morant, and the ball was on the money, and we just didn't come up with it. So, I've been in 2 spectrums of this, being a highly ranked team. I think that year we were top at 13 or 14. That was the Dwight Freeney era, his senior year, when we had a bunch of seniors on the team trying to make a statement. That statement was not made by us. It was made by Miami. And then later on, I believe my junior year, we went down there and had an opportunity late in the game to really steal one. And that wasn't like we were making a statement. We were trying to steal a game and upset a team in that, but we came up short.
I saw, when I was going to college, I went to the University of Buffalo in the late 70s, and when the Dome was being built, Syracuse played their home games that season at Rich Stadium in Buffalo. And so I saw the Syracuse-Miami game at Rich Stadium. Syracuse won that game, but looking back at it, some of the players, I had to look them up just to see who were on those teams. It was Coach Frank Maloney at the time, still for the Orange, and they went 7-5 that year and went to the Independence Bowl. The Orange did, but you had Bill Hurley at quarterback, but check out the rest of the line. Joe Morris was playing, Art Monk, Gary Anderson was kicking, Jim Collins, a linebacker on that team. And then for Miami, it was Coach Howard Schnellenberger, a legendary old school football coaching name from way back, but a young quarterback by the name of Jim Kelly. played in that game as well for the Miami Hurricanes. Okay. That the Orange won. I think it was 25-15. But it was cool being able to see them.
Well, and I think the Bills probably got a front row seat in order to scope him out and see what his capabilities were. The interesting part about Schnellenberger is, he ended up moving on from Miami, and our last bowl game, it was at FAU Stadium, and they had a little monument or what do I want to say, a bust or a
statue.
Yeah, let's go with statue. Right? It's getting cold out now. That brain's starting to slow down a little bit. But, they had a statue outside of that because he's the one that really developed and started that program off down in Boca Raton.
From the stream chat, you mentioned it's starting to get cold up there. I mean, you're all bundled up. Somebody asking, am I speaking with Yukon Cornelius on the line? You look like you're...
Yeah. And I have my land of misfit toys somewhere as well. So, that's I don't have a toucan, so I'm just rocking the ball cap. But, I think if you're up and moving around, it's definitely nice out right now and have the opportunity to grab a hot cocoa or coffee or a hot cider. Maybe it's spiked a little bit, but you're going to have an opportunity to stay warm and walk around.
That is the voice of Adam Terry. We'll be doing the game on TK99 and TK105 with the voice of the Orange, Matt Park, later on. It's Gomez live here from the TK Tavern on the Hill. We'll take a break, and we'll be right back here on the flagship station for SU football, TK99 and TK105.
TK99 and TK105, Syracuse's classic rock.
Syracuse.
Yes. No, he was not on yesterday. You're welcome. But
it's
same thing
right
here.
There. Yeah. That's that bone-chilling one.
So we'll come out with how much time is here, Paul? Like 3 minutes from right now? Okay, so we'll come back out with a rejoin. But at some point, we'll have to do the legal, like, I'm trying to think, maybe if just come out instead of the rejoin, put the legal ID there. It'll be a little bit early because otherwise we got to chat a little bit and then stop and do a legal ID and then come back again, Okay, so after this, instead of whatever rejoin is in there, just have it go right to the legal ID. Thank you. Good, Orange Chuck. I'm glad your ID is also legal. Mumbles bounce.
Yes.
Okay, that's okay. That's even better, actually, because it'll be closer to the top. I did
People
not get to see Mike's
shoelaces also can't count.
Did Salmon make the kick? No.
Who is this?
Oh, Mike. He works on Cuse Sports Talk, and he claims that in high school he kicked a 55-yard field goal. So Paulie had him. Yeah. So Paulie, they went up to the Dome yesterday, and then people were putting money in. Paulie said, "I'll give you $500 if you can make a 55-yard field goal." I think Eric Dungy heard that, and he said, "I'll throw 100 in myself." And I don't know what the final total was up to, but 55, I mean, come on.
That's. I mean, I don't even know if we could have a guy on our team right now that could actually make one.
Right? we used to do those contests where like a random fan, to come down and give it a whirl. And it's like, there's no way. I mean, like I think the according to like the insurance company, it was like, one out of however many people are capable of doing that. But that, if you did the math, like if there was 50,000 people in the dome, you tell me there's 7 people in the dome capable of making a 50-yard field goal. There's 2 guys on the team that could barely do that.
Yeah, did you see the?
Here we go. 10 seconds. Here we go.
911. Please consume responsibly.
WTKW FM and HD, Bridgeport, Syracuse. WTKV, Minetto, Oswego. We are live. Gearing up for SU football with our TK tailgate from the TK Tavern in Camillus on TK 99 and TK 105. Here's your host, Gomez.
Game day for Coach Fran and the Orange. That 3:30 kickoff with Miami coming to the Dome. Adam Terry live up on the quad, getting ready for other pregame activities, hanging on there. And you'd mentioned earlier, Adam, that your son is also on campus, an official recruit for Coach Fran. The team's got to be exciting for him. And are there? I don't even know if you're allowed. I don't even know what you're allowed to say anymore with regards to recruits. But is he going to make other visits at other campuses around the country?
He's young. I think it's flattering. At some point you got to see how everything goes. But I mean, it's he's got 1 year of varsity under his belt, so we'll see. I mean, I will say this: I think Syracuse is very proactive in what they do, and they've got a lot of guys and girls in that scouting department that are doing very well, and you can see that by how they move on, right? So if you look at Syracuse and how they do it, you start with your general manager, you work your way down. We just saw at Stanford, Andrew Luck becomes Stanford's general manager. So you get to see how that inner workings of the new college football is occurring, and you look at how these guys elevate. It's no different than a coach. If they're not going anywhere, then you can't be very good at that. But if they are going places, and I think one of the bigger ones that you've seen as of late is Cami Pascaloni. Coach P's daughter went down to Atlanta, and she's working down there. So, elevating yourself and having them there for a couple of years, I think it's a great opportunity. And, it's one of those things that you've got rolling right now. So, keep it going. And I think that's the one of the major things that Frank can do is really get the recruits in, talk them, and get them going. So, we'll see how this whole process shakes out, but it's fun. I mean, it's one of those proud dad moments, and hopefully there's more to come.
And that's a new position in college sports, the general manager position, as you'd mentioned. Andrew Luck making that announcement today on College Game Day on ESPN, and this past Tuesday night at the Coaches Show, the nighttime coach with Fran Brown, Nate McNeil was there and getting on the mic with the voice of the Orange, Matt Park, kind of describing exactly what he does as far as talent, development and keeping an eye out for talent. And it's really become it's professional sports for all practical purposes. And that's, I think, maybe you had mentioned this, Adam, why you're seeing a lot of former NFL coaches now coaching in college football, because it's kind of the same now.
Yeah, I mean, the ease of interacting now is you shake hands and kiss babies a little bit, right? Like, you're not the ones grinding those, windshield hours or those flight hours. Now you have the opportunity to have a staff underneath you, just like, the big-time schools in Alabama. You hear the folklore of Nick Saban and what he had as a scouting department underneath him at Alabama, retired coaches that just wanted to, the opportunity to continue some ball, and why not? So, I think it's been in the works for a lot, but, I think, with Frank coming up from Georgia, you saw the need and the necessity of having a head man in charge or head lady in charge, and really building a program and building a program. So, there's multifaceted. It's, the offense, defense, special teams. It's the underclassmen recruiting, it's the portal recruiting, it's the strength and conditioning. And when you have one person with their hand on all of it, that is a great opportunity for everybody to just really do their jobs where, say 10 years ago, that head coach, if they were good at it, you won. If they weren't good at it, they were out of there within 2 to 3 years.
That's the voice of Adam Terry, and I'm just keeping up with some of the comments and questions here in the stream chat. Adam, what position is your son being recruited for?
Well, I mean, just a big-bodied kid. He's 6'5", 320, and Dad played in the NFL, so I think he's got some feet, and hopefully we can coach him up a little bit. And so a little bit of offensive, defensive line, just body type right now for a lot of it, but having the opportunity to do that type of stuff. So, I think long term, my wife wants him to project as a defensive tackle because you make 2 plays in a game, you're the hero. You give up 2 sacks in a game as a tackle on the offense, you're not so much. You're probably getting run out of town, and hopefully it's just an opportunity where for us it's get into a good school, get a great education, and go from there.
What was his jersey number in high school?
I'll give you one guess. Probably the same as Dad. So, you turn on the film and he's bigger and stronger, and I might have been a little bit quicker because I was a little bit lighter, but he can move, and he's played against a couple bigger recruits that are going Division I and held his own as a young kid, and hopefully his offensive line coach in high school didn't screw him up too much, which is also me. But, I mean, the biggest thing right now is you got to love the sport that you play. Anybody that's played at a high level, anybody that's played in college, if you don't love the sport, it becomes a depressing thing every day to do. And, I think that's the biggest thing for me to instill on my kids is enjoy it, you love it, and then you're going to have the opportunity to get after it on a daily basis. Because if you don't, those are the days that you don't want to get out of bed and say, oh, I got to go to practice. You want to spring out of bed and start to say, hey, I've got practice today. I can get a little bit better. And you see that with kids all the time with, parents getting involved with it and things like that. My son is playing soccer this year, and, hopefully he does a spring sport. My daughter's playing volleyball, and now we're in the world of travel athletics. So, to every parent that's listening, they feel our pain, and I feel their pain because it is. You're an Uber driver, and you got to have enough people to cart them around from place to place.
We talked like a week or two ago when we were chatting about the jerseys that you had when you were a kid, and that we played that clip from earlier in the week, and I forgot who it was talking about the jerseys. Might have been Don McPherson, but we had Eric Dungy on this week. What was that, Adam?
Yeah, and it was Kyle talking about the jerseys, right?
Yeah, that's right. And Kyle was talking about his jerseys, and we had Eric Dungy on this week and brought up the same topic. So here's Eric talking about the youth jersey collection that he had when he was growing up.
Yeah, I was the same thing. It was all the Nike, the slogan shirts. I don't know if you remember those. And then also I was from Minnesota when I was very young, so I was a huge Timberwolves fan, huge Wild fan, a huge Vikings fan. So I had the Dante Culpeppers, the Brett Favres, the Kevin Garnett's. I was a huge Minnesota fan at the time, so I was always wearing Minnesota gear.
That's what Eric was wearing as a youngster. I guess that makes sense. And until he brought that up, I'd kind of forgotten the Minnesota part of his biography.
Yeah. No, I think, Dante Culpepper could sling that rock around, and, why not? And, it's interesting to see how kids gravitate. Usually it's geographical, but, when I was a kid, I was probably about 3-4 years old, and I loved the animal, a bear. And, now I was, at that point in time, I was a big Chicago Bears fan, and 85 Super Bowl shuffle. I was, what better to do as a kid than try to mimic guys and get out there. You got nicknames like Refrigerator William Perry and things like that. So, and then as I got a little bit older, it was, I've got a lot of, like I said before, I got a couple old school Syracuse guys and John Mackey and Floyd Little and Ernie Davis, or not Ernie Davis, Jim Brown, I should say. I'd be very lucky if I got an Ernie Davis. I don't think there's a lot of those hanging out that are autographed. So then the one thing I do have that's a little bit special is Deion Sanders' last game. I went into his locker and we asked him, "Hey, were you coming back?" He's like, "Heck no!" And he didn't even show up the next day for the exit meeting. So I've got his last game shoes that we pilfered from his locker.
That's something that, as a collector, if you wanted to put that somewhere up for auction, somebody would pay some pretty good money for that.
No, not happening.
No, you don't think so? Or you're never going to sell them?
It's not. I'm not letting go of those things. Even for the Mackey one, it starts off "Go Orange," right? So like that's and then it was towards the end where he was having some issues, and so I had to write it out for him, and he started it off with "Go Orange." So it's some of these things are a little bit more sentimental than they are worth the dollar amount. So.
It sounds like I can hear in the background there, the SU band is up on the steps of Hendricks Chapel, and that part of the pregame activity at the quad now underway.
Yeah, it's cranking. It's a little bit deeper than normal. I think there are a lot of recruits out here. The band's striked up, or they're getting going on Hendricks Chapel, and the guys are walking through. So, great opportunity. I think the biggest thing is for people to see an eyeball, how big some of these guys are. There's a lot of guys that can run around and make some plays that, when you watch TV, you don't understand the size and speed and athleticism that a lot of the Syracuse guys now possess, opposed to a couple years ago. So I think when you look at the recruiting, that's one of the big things. You got a little bit taller and a lot more speed out on that field than we've had for the last 8 years or so.
You mentioned playing alongside Deion Sanders back in the day. And obviously now the head coach at Colorado, and Coach Fran, a big fan of Coach Prime, and he views him as a mentor, and he has a chance to talk with him during the week every now and then, once or twice, even during the season here. And he bumped into him on whichever coaching staff back in the day. But the question came up last week of the possibility on some of these bowl projections of Syracuse playing Colorado potentially in one of the bowl games. And to him, that would be, for his first year as a head coach, to go in a bowl game against Deion Sanders in Colorado would be like, something that, like from a movie script.
Well, in a situation like that, you've also heard Deion Sanders, come out and proclaim that all his guys are going to play in the bowl game. And we'll believe it when we see it. When Shedeur is dropping back and getting hit, I don't know if that's necessarily the best thing for him and his draft stock, or Travis Hunter as well. But, I think that's going to be one of the bigger question marks for Syracuse. Yeah, if you do have the opportunity to go play against Deion Sanders in Colorado, fantastic. But who's going to be out there for them, and who's going to be out there for us?
That is the voice of Adam Terry up in the quad. It's Gomez here live at the TK Tavern on the Hill. And by the way, if you come out here, you can pick up some goodies that we have at the desk. Mike handling the duties there and registering for tickets to an upcoming Syracuse basketball game. So plenty going on here at the TK Tavern on the Hill. We'll take a break here, and we'll be right back on the flagship station for SU football, TK 99 and TK 105.
TK 99.
All righty. So is it about 4 minutes here, Paul?
Oh, somebody hit a good shot there. Yeah. A little chilly.
How much time here, Paul? Okay, 2. So what we'll do, and that'll be like 1:15. We'll just go to the final break, so that it would be like about 25-ish. That sound right? Well, we could do that, or for the radio portion in the past, because it gives a moment to get stuff set up back at the station, and like at 23 or 24, so you actually play a song, and that gives you can fade it out and then link up to the next part of the broadcast. So why don't we shoot for that? That actually makes it easier and it gives you another moment there. Thank you. So, Adam, are you in the line of sight for that snow hitting Western New York? Is that Rochester going to get in on that at all?
I think I escape it. I mean, it just depends on how it rolls through. I think I'm good. I think it's a little bit west rolling through Buffalo, and then I think it goes over the lake once it gets towards us.
Thank you.
Big one day can't contain it. 5 stores of inventory, massive discounts clearly marked. Our best savings event of the year. Black Friday is live at DavidsonAutoGroup.com.
Hey, Fulton, Leafy Wonders is now open with plenty.
It's a good thing we're doing it this weekend, because next weekend it's supposed to be like 25 degrees out here.
Yeah.
10 seconds. Thank you.
Ingestion or overconsumption, contact the National Poison Control Center hotline, 1-800-222-1222, or call 911. Please consume responsibly.
We are live. Gearing up for SU football with our TK tailgate from the TK Tavern in Camillus on TK 99 and TK 105. Here's your host, Gomez.
Live from a TK Tavern on the Hill, Adam Terry live from the Quad on Rivalry Weekend. And just checking some of the other action on Rivalry Weekend. Clemson and South Carolina right now tied at 7 apiece. Michigan up early over Ohio State 7-3. Last I checked, Vanderbilt was up over Tennessee. It was 17-7. I don't know if that's still the score. But, Adam, that's the fun of Rivalry Weekend in college football. You can almost throw stats and rankings, et cetera, out the window when you get that passion and that these guys and teams that have just grown up hating each other. It just makes for an exciting weekend of college football.
Yeah, and it ratchets it up a notch, and everybody gets in there and it gets a little bit chippy, and those are the fun games, is when everybody's selling out and doing what they need to do and flying around the field trying to make plays. It just, one, it's a better game for fans, but also, two, it just lends itself to an awesome game as a player, because you're leaving everything out there. And I think one of the most iconic ones that you see is Rivalry Weekend. They get their own, and that's Army-Navy. I mean, that's a bucket lister for me. I've done Harvard, Yale, and Army-Navy's going to be one of those that is on my list.
We talked to Don McPherson earlier this week, our Monday morning quarterback, about Rivalry Weekend, and Don is all, like everybody else, all excited about the weekend here.
Yeah, it's rivalry weekend, so you got a bunch of rivalries that in some cases have lost their luster over the years because of realignment and everything else. You still have, South Carolina, Clemson, Auburn, Alabama, the Iron Bowl, Michigan, Ohio State. Lots of great old rivalries that, as I said, kind of don't mean much as they have in the past. This game actually means a lot. Miami is still trying to get into that ACC championship game. They've got Clemson on their heels. Syracuse is still, showing something and getting ready for, whatever bowl that's going to be. But like I said, you got the two best quarterbacks in college football going up against one another. It should be a great game.
Yeah, a lot of the other games, Adam, may be getting more of the headlines, but that's a good point that there's arguably more on the line today in the JMA Wireless Dome as far as bowl implications and the season than some of the higher profile rivalry games that are on TV right now.
Yeah, big time, right? I think everybody in Central New York is ready for this one. And like I said last week, it doesn't matter what orange you're in, just show up. I mean, I'll even take a little bit of orange and green and be in the dome and have that place loud and rowdy, than have some blank chairs in there. So you like what this is. You like the old school feel of it. You like the Big East feel of it. Completely different than when we played in the Big East. It was a little bit more smash mouth, but this thing is going to be thrown around, and the ability to run the football for both teams are there. But you like it, to always go back to a Coach Mackism. They'll always forget September, sometimes October, but never November. And this is the one that, for Syracuse playing in a bowl game, this is the one that you want to see. And as far as the other rivalry games go, I mean, you look at a Michigan-Ohio State, it's not as meaningful as it used to be, but in the context of, who's going to play in the playoffs and things like that. But, it is one where Michigan can steal this and be the spoiler against a team like Ohio State.
That game's still at 7-3 in the second quarter of that game, early on yet, and still plenty of action. We'll check some of the other scores. So it's still 17-7, Vandy up over Tennessee. And then, of course, as Don mentioned, the two of the best quarterbacks in the country in the Dome today. Eric Dungey was on again with us earlier this week and mentioned to him that today's Cam Ward, Kyle McCord show could be the best show of the weekend.
Be some of the best entertainment that Cuse fans, Miami fans can see all year. Going to have two phenomenal quarterbacks going head to head, and I've been saying it all year. I think there's been some cracks in Miami. It obviously showed in their one loss, but I think if Syracuse can just come out and Syracuse can just protect the ball, I think they have a great chance there. It's always tough to come into the Dome and get a win, especially for Miami. So I'm really hopeful that we can pack the Dome there, get loud, and just again finish off this great season that we're having, and then have a chance here at double-digit wins.
That obviously a big goal for the team. And as far as the two quarterbacks, add on the potential of a pretty high-scoring. I don't know what the over/under is officially on the gambling apps or whatever, but I would think that there's a pretty good chance it could be a high-scoring game today.
Yeah, I would love to see this game be determined by both quarterbacks, right? I think in the sense of Syracuse, they've got a lot to do. They've got to protect well in order to allow Kyle McCord to get the ball downfield. And if it is a matchup of two individual quarterbacks, that negates that statement and makes sure that Syracuse did a very good job in protection, allowing for that ball to get downfield. It's going to be quite the matchup. I mean, when you look at what Kyle McCord's been able to do, he's number one in passing yards this year. He's going to eclipse 4,000 passing yards, which is, unfathomable for a Syracuse team right now that, probably 7-8 months ago he was just stepping onto campus. So that's an amazing feat right there. And kind of the same thing for Cam Ward. They both used the portal. Cam Ward twice using the portal to jump, hop, skip, and a jump, and land his way into a pivotal position right now for Miami. Both have capable wide receivers. I think what it's going to come down to is, can you protect? And when you need to run the football, are you capable of doing that? And right now, I think that nod goes a little bit more towards Miami, because they're rushing about 180 yards per game, and Syracuse right now isn't even eclipsing 100 yards. So let's throw all that out the window and let's just see a quarterback duel and allow that to happen today.
On game day this morning, watching some of their coverage. They're at the Texas A&M game, but talking about the other games around the country. Nick Saban thinking that the Miami secondary was a vulnerable spot for the Miami team, and he didn't pick Syracuse to win, but he picked them to cover the spread, which I think is 11.5 or 12 or whatever. But Kirk Herbstreit went the extra mile, and he picked the Syracuse upset today.
Hey, he's usually a good judge of a team, and we'll roll with that one. And I for me, it's one of two. I think if Syracuse, you can always come in with a good game plan, and I think this year Syracuse has always come in with a good game plan, and it's about the execution. So alignment, assignment, technique, and if you can execute. That's the simplicity of football, but it's also you got to be able to do it in order to challenge this Miami team and win this football game.
And last but not least, here as we head into the final break in a few moments, are there guys who will not be available for Coach Fran today? And is there anybody who will be in the lineup that hasn't been maybe in the last week or two that you're aware of?
Hey, I'm always the last to know. We sit in our box, and sometimes, like last week, we knew that UConn's quarterback was going to play only because we talked to the other team. And sometimes you hear a little bit more from the other team about your own team than you hear. So, that's kind of the coaching nature of making phone calls and talking to people. But for us, we're privy to some of it, but we got to keep our mouth closed until that pregame warm-up has started.
And for Miami, other than Cam Ward, and obviously he's the guy everybody talks about, one or two other players that people will be hearing about and seeing when they're watching the game today.
No, I mean, the big one that you're going to have to see is Xavier Restrepo. He's number 7. He's kind of one of their primetime receivers. He's probably one or two catches today. He's going to go over 1,000-yard receiving. And then you've got your other two wide receivers in this, and a guy like Horton and George and the outlier of Sam Brown. But I think what this comes down to is the guys up front. If Syracuse can apply pressure and get after Cam Ward, I think this will be a very interesting game. So, one of the things that I'm looking at today is, I've talked about Diggs all year, and he's done extremely well, and he hasn't shown up a lot in the sack statistics in the categories. But, I want to see him have a great game, and hopefully this is a game kind of like a Dwight Freeney-esque game against Michael Vick that really can catapult him into the future, into playing on Sundays.
Adam, thanks. As always, go Orange, and it's been fun all year. This is our last pregame TK Tavern on the Hill broadcast. So thanks. It was great seeing you and talking to you all season long. We'll see you in the Dome later.
I am shedding tears underneath these glasses right now.
I'm sure you are. All right, and thanks, and continue to catch the coverage here on the flagship station for SU Football, TK99 and TK105 and QSportsTalk.com. And go Orange.
TK99 and TK105, Syracuse's classic rock.
There's a call, late Saturday night. Someone needs help. She said I weighed the pros and cons of calling this late, but it's driving me crazy. My husband and 2 of his friends on their way home from fishing in the Catskills got pulled over and charged. He says he's not concerned. He's got a lawyer, yes, his brother who does real estate. Well, I'm concerned. It would sure complicate our lives if he can't drive. I've got my own career. I can't be chauffeuring him every call you. I'm Tom Anelli, New York's